Well, welcome to Consequential Conversations. Here we are today with a gentleman that I've actually never met before, so I'm really looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better. And quite honestly, that's the theme of our whole podcast, is to get to know your neighbor, get to know the guy or the woman in the backyard that you see every day, but you really don't know who they are. And so that's what Bob and I are doing. Podcastle Bob, by the way. That's what we're doing. And so we look forward to getting to know our guest. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
Well, thank you, Bill, and Bill, and Bill, and Bill. This should be easy. I'm not going to mistake your names today. Interestingly enough, the gentleman we're sitting with here, normally when he sees me coming, he hides in the back office because I'm coming to hit him up for something. I think I mentioned in the McAvey interview, he or I raced to sell Bill raffle tickets for the Bulldogs or whatever sort of thing. And I can tell you, he's one of the most generous people in the community for contributing to everything we do. And with that, Bill Coates, rock star, and whatever else you can tell us, whatever else, because you have a few other enterprises and companies.
Yeah, I do. And thank Bob, and you do cost me money every time I see it. So yeah, I'm Bill Coates and live here in Port Alberni. And we moved to town about when I was 7 years old. My stepfather, Dennis Johnson, came to work in Port Alberni because it was the highest paying capita anywhere in Canada. So he actually got hired on at Mars Industries, and I worked for Mars Industries, and we're in the Mars Industries office. But he started as a heavy-duty mechanic, and within a couple of years, he went into business for himself, and he had bulldozers in his Pro Lake division and Franklin River, mostly on maintenance or spread cats. And that's where I got my experience on the bulldozer, and eventually went to work for Mars Industries when I was 21. And I've been in and out of this office since 1978, and that would be 46 years. Sorry.
Yeah, 76, holy shit.
43.
Don't age yourself that much.
Yeah.
So, and lots of experience in it. I don't know Mars and Milligan and all those companies that were around. This was quite a boomtown for the logging industry for many years.
Yeah, very sad today as to what it was, because there were so many big company camps in each and every division, and then roughly 50% was to be logged by contractors. And Colson, for example, they weren't part of the TFL. They had their own independent TFL out in Tilcourt. But there was Mars and Jack McKay, later Hayes, Carson. Hopefully I didn't know it. Yeah, several.
Lots of them.
So I started with Mars in 1978 on the bulldozer, and 8 years later, the supervisor for the road building retired, and then I replaced him at 29.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And eventually I was operations manager over the logging and the roads, and Larry semi-retired. His daughter, Allison McKenzie, was brought into the business, and she was a chartered accountant, and I worked for her.
I found accountants could slow business down because they never want you to spend money.
That's absolutely true. And today, Allison still, she works for me with the companies and is in the same office, and we worked together for 30 years.
Rockstar just was an offshoot or a formation, or?
So we were part of the government take back. They wanted a volume of wood for small business and First Nations and community forests that you're part of, Bob. And so anyways, we were bought out or taken out by the government, and that actually folded up Mars Industries. So at the time, I started my own business because we only ran a small road building company, and that was Star. And Rockstar picked up a good contract at Port Lake for the deactivation of that work. And then Larry sold me Star Contracting. So we kept everything just internal and still at the same office. And what was surprising is just how much more work came our way that I never expected. That we were really downsizing. But because of the other companies, First Nations, Community Forest, and BCTS, that opened up a whole bunch of windows for us for extra work. So today we're working for the Community Forest, and we're working for what's now Shawakon Source Product out of TFL 44. And we have bought out fellow contractors. We bought out AM Excavating, we bought out TST, that was a road builder operator.
Krieger.
Yeah, and then we bought out Jim Faulkner, Len Clements, and Larry Ostley.
Oh, wow.
So we're doing all the road construction in Franklin. And it wasn't about expansion. It was about just maintaining
Maintaining the volleys.
yeah.
You did some run of the river projects too. I remember you had a little accident. I think at one of them, wasn't it? We've had a couple accidents. We'll talk about the other one later.
Okay. So when you say run of the river, or you mean the fishing?
No, there was one
hydro project.
hydro project.
Yeah. So that was managed owned by First Nations and managed through the Barclay group out of Nanaimo. And it was our biggest single project that took about 3 years. And it was starting right at the top with a road construction, bridge construction to get into the site. And then we did the dam and a penstock running down to a powerhouse. And that was a successful project for us, but definitely challenging because of the steep terrain.
Yeah, interesting. I think didn't I don't remember right, but did you fall off of? Did you fall in that project?
Well, on that project, I definitely had the most incidents, but myself. But there was never any lost time.
No lost time.
No lost time. We pay attention.
It's always there, whatever, right?
And actually saying that, we have had incidents and we've had close calls and we had some serious accidents. But lucky enough that we haven't had any lost time with an employee off payroll.
Oh, that's an excellent record.
Yeah,
That's an excellent record for somebody that deals with dynamite as well. A lot of
yeah.
Obviously, he hasn't gone in after an explosion too quickly before the.
No, we haven't. But we are in a high-risk, safe, sensitive industry, so it's really remarkable.
So you had, I think you dabbled, well, two things. I remember seeing you in the first electric car in this community. Have you still
Why
got
not
it?
at first? Yeah, and I love that car. I haven't had really any maintenance issues with it, but the company went bankrupt.
Yes.
So
It's not your Marlin. It's a.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's
The
a-
Marlin's anything but economical.
yeah. So I bring it out in the summer and it's just a toy. And
So what is it?
it's a Fisker. It's an electric car.
Fisker over north. Fisker. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good car.
They might have gone bankrupt because I think they didn't. Musk sue them or something for.
They did. Yes, they did.
Really?
Just too much technology for the time. When that car
Yeah.
first came out in 2012, it was just, when you want to look at it, there was nothing like it on the table.
Oh, really?
But interesting that because they went bankrupt, the value of it isn't all that great today. Whereas
Yeah.
I bought the Sportster Tesla, they're around $300,000 today. And mine would be about $50,000.
Oh, wow.
Are always
I don't know. It might become a very collector's item pretty soon, to keep hanging on to it.
But that car was fun.
made or what?
About 2,000, but if they did the math backwards, they would have had to sell them for about $600,000 each.
Because it was early on.
And I paid just over 100 for it. And interesting enough, that I live and breathe forestry, and in 2009, when I went into business, it was just at a total low. And then you go to truck loggers and have all the true experts there with the bankers showing charts and government pushing for sales. And anyways, Weston was right in the gutter on the stock exchange. So I figured after listening to everybody's what was coming forward, I invested heavy into Weston with the sole idea that I was going to take that money and buy a fancy car. And I would have done better, maybe not, but anyways, that was it.
You have your fingers in the tire industry?
Well, I do. Just that, the website and everything was all coming up, and you could actually buy a tire right out of China. And for our off-road stuff, it's pretty high price. So just as a sideline hobby, I did start bringing tires in. Today, I don't very much. I blocked this hobby part of it, and I was enough on my own work. But yeah, it was fun. I went to China. I went there with a delegation with the Premier Christy Clark at the time. And so it was just a bit of a discount to go there and a bit of a tie-in. But we did our own thing where we went to the different tire plants.
Oh, nice.
Interesting enough, I thought that I'd go there and I'd have to sign a waiver saying I wouldn't repeat what I seen, thinking black car and everything. I got to tell you, it was way ahead of us. Now it was 10 years ago. But the factories, everybody had the high vis on, safety glasses, the gloves. You go in just like the kung fu movies with Bruce Lee, with the red carpet down and all the executive pictures on the wall. But then you go into the true plant, and it was state of the art. It was just amazing. Now, once it came out of the plant, and the hand loading and the transportation, totally chaotic again.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So the plant was a real factory, and the outside was real life.
Well, what's real funny is I come back to our shop, and our shop is the third world country. Like there's not to bring a Chinese party back to our shop because it's backwards in comparison.
Really?
It's quite amazing. I had that experience at the Sanshin Motor Company with Yamaha, and going into a factory where the first of the robotics, where carts were coming down this yellow line on the floor, but I didn't realize that they were following a magnetic cable down the thing. Why is that cart moving by itself with parts on it?
So, really
that was
cable, eh?
Yeah, scary. Other things. Just first of all, in the valley, you've been here all in that many years. You don't look like you're going to leave the valley anytime soon. I visited you at your house. It's very interesting. You have a interesting man cave and a tunnel.
Yeah,
a steep tunnel. I'm not sure what that's for.
I do like building.
Yeah.
So when I built a previous house, I was on a side slope, but we dug down deep to get to the solid ground and start building up. But we filled in the foundation with gravel, which was a waste of space as far as all that concrete. So I had the next house I had McGill's engineered in order to put the underground bunker basically under the house. And when I was working for Mars at the time, and Larry lent me the EX400, so I put this big monster forestry machine right on the city lot and started digging a hole. And I'm down deep, and nobody could believe what the hell was I actually doing. How could you possibly build a house on that side slope? But after it was finished, it turned out to be a concrete bunker, and I always wanted to dig underground to get to it, so I actually did start digging, but the alignment wasn't right. But at the end of the day, it's a concrete wall, like a tunnel that's open, and it acts as a retaining wall. And then it sat on empty for a period of time, and then I finished it up as a land cave.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's very impressive. That we can't take pictures in it. It's top secret.
Top secret.
Yeah. You got some bridge timbers in there too, I think.
From the activation at Sprout Lake, it was interesting. People that know Port Alberni, but around the McTush area, it's all gravel. So they actually put on the floor of the creek timbers, laid them down that would act that the water would run over it and then come off. While the water over time had wore the grooves out. It's absolutely gorgeous. So then when we removed the bridge, we took away this timber that was just total scrap at the time. And I sat in my yard a storage yard for about a year, and then we did pressure wash it and stuck it as a wall.
Feature wall.
Feature wall.
Pretty impressive. So other interesting things. I mean, work isn't, you must have hobbies, places you like to go. You stay home a lot.
Well, that's it.
I've heard of you being on holidays. Anytime I've looked for you, I can always find you. So I don't know if you...
Last year, Patty and I, my wife, we've been married for 40, I have to get it right. 46 years.
Now.
Next month, be 47. But we went to Europe for the first time. And we have been homebodies that we like to stay closer to the base and around the family. But we really enjoyed the Europe trip. It was way more amazing than I thought it was.
Where'd you go in here?
We landed in Paris and then crashed out Italy and Croatia.
Oh, we went to Croatia too. What a country. Loved it.
Yeah.
You know, Europe surprised you how small and close it is.
Yeah.
You know, it is amazing where you can go in a short period of time.
Yeah. 1 hour flight or another.
Well, even on the trains, my wife and I went on, we bought a 5-day, 3-country Euro pass. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Yeah.
Go in. Everything from Denmark, Holland, Germany, whoa.
Yeah.
And we did exactly the same thing. Rented a car, did the trains, did the planes.
Yeah.
We did a chauffeur at one point for this one area that was in the remote area.
So the valley, what's your highest point of the valley for things you like to do and see?
Well, for ourselves, I would have never thought in my lifetime that we would see any one of those mills shut down. And we first started in the industry where I was actually working it was such a different opportunity back there where they had hired you when you're 16 years old, and we worked at the Somas for cleanup, and that would be during little shutdown things. I mean, during holiday breaks and stuff too. And right after grade 10, in between school, I could go to Sprout Lake, which I did, and then back again after the grade 11, and then back to grade 12, and then I started at the Somas. But back then, that time, each logging division had at least 1,000 employees, and the Plywoods was still operating. The M&B owned the pulp mill at that time. There's the APD and the Somas.
Yeah.
And today the pulp mill is still operating at a lower number of people
Yeah.
than what it was back then. But everything else is shut down. And
Your take on the logging industry as it is, fiber supply. I mean, we see raw logs going out. We see the chip thing in Telleref or Beaver Cove shutting down. Catalyst gone. I just came by the paper mill here, and I see all the newsprint out there that they're going to repulp and stuff. Where are they going to get that from with Crofton and others going down? Are we in absolute crisis? Because we're growing some beautiful trees.
yeah, we have, and we are, and we're in a bad way right now overall in the forest industry. Even Port Alberni, to lose the APD is a real loss because the logging that's taken place, excuse me, the logging that's taken place has no mill here in the local valley, so it's probably adding $10 a cubic meter for that log to go to another mill location. Right. So it really does put our forest industry in jeopardy with the extra cost.
And we have a deep sea port, the closest to Asia of any deep sea port on the west coast. I mean, maybe other than Rupert, and I think we're as close to Asia. We're missing a lot of opportunity. Yeah, a lot of opportunity.
And then we were also we're under contract for Shawak First Nation company tied in with the Western Partnership.
Yeah,
and we have been working out in the Wall brand too. So on the news, when you see the Wall brand Fairy Creek protesters, it's a bit of a misconception because the Fairy Creek protest really started with Teal Jones.
Yes,
and they still call it Fairy Creek, but they moved to a whole different area. And it's in the Wall brand. It's higher elevation. It's not like Sabin or river valley or anything. But they just cause total havoc for the working man trying to get to work.
Get to work. And I think in general, I have a brother-in-law, registered forester, retired now, and that a lot of work was done to log appropriately and with conservation and ecology in mind. I think we do a lot better than we ever used to. I remember driving through creeks and stuff. Nowadays, the rules you have to follow to do road building or a bridge or near a creek, and the paperwork, I can imagine, is scary.
They know that we have the best forest practices in the world. It doesn't matter who they compare us to. We have the very best in the world. But we do get wood is good to us. Yeah. For others, all they see is an absolute beautiful tree, and they feel it is waste.
And the other part is it grows. The wheat on the prairies grows.
Yeah.
People are quite happy. Trees grow here, and when we harvest it, they're a lot of.
And to us, it's a renewable resource. So it's just a shame to think of anything poor of forestry.
Yeah.
And we've learned more about reforestation and spacing and I on the community forest board, Chris Losner, about southern exposure versus northern exposure, grain and all this, and value of wood's not the same on both sides. Regrowth isn't the same. We've learned so much.
Yeah.
Put it in practice. It's good. I talked about another incident you had that was very well covered on the news, and you guys supplied the footage, the drone footage of your truck.
That was interesting.
In that lake, it was a beautiful truck.
It was interesting and also a learning experience because of all the social media and how fast things get out there. So what happened is our truck was on a regular job. We're doing what is everybody's happy with is fishery stuff.
You do a lot of that.
And they were filming it because of a documentary to try to get more funding and for what it's doing. So we were doing what was expected to remove this woody debris that's going to get put actually right in the stream under by all of the fisheries. So we're following that direction. So he took the truck down to the water's edge, and on the video it's pretty fast and it doesn't show everything, but he was about a good 20 feet away, and then he stopped and went to back up. And the whole ground just collapsed. And I had way more time to pay attention to the investigation. In my opinion, it was more of a sinkhole that it absolutely dropped. The operator thought that a tidal wave or something. He didn't realize that the ground actually.
I know, for money, really.
But when you're end hauling material, like at a mine that everybody's familiar with, and you dump over the end, you see little cracks and you see different things. And when that does release, it's a slide, and you go to the bottom of whatever it is. In this case, the truck went down below the water 20 feet from the top of the cab, and then it stopped. But all the ground behind it just dropped like if it went into a hole. Now, this isn't unusual for when you're dumping into a watershed or a water body, then you could have a muddy surface underneath, and eventually the weight of it will swoosh out. But this was just natural beach.
So would there have been and I know out at the lake up in Tours Arm, there's a thing as a kid we called the subterranean stream. And you can hear the water rushing down the mountain near Sing Sing there, the campground. You can hear the water running down, and it comes out on that peninsula where the Apaches have the maple trees harvesting, the maple syrup harvesting are doing there. The river doesn't come out into the lake, but it comes out underground. And if you got on an alluvial area like that and there's water flowing under, it could create one of those.
And it could possibly, but surprisingly, the side banks are kilometers away. It's all flat ground. Like normally in those cases, you got just water is almost goes underground into, and then it comes out with the gravity. Interesting enough, the material looks like it's all soft. That material you'd use for compaction around a foundation, like it was just perfect compaction. And when it let go, you could see a wall about 2 feet that just dropped straight down. But Tracy West was just and he said his name out publicly, so I don't think you mind me saying it. The operator was Tracy West. When I bought out Jim Faulkner, he was the driver that came with the truck, so he had more than 30 years experience. And was surprising is his background. At one time, he was a free diver. That meant that he did all the snorkeling and stuff.
Yes.
So he was able to just stay real calm.
Wow.
And the truck went this way, and then that's where the window he escaped, and then it spun the other way and actually went into the doorway. So he came out a window that was 14 inches.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Did you lose the truck?
Yeah, I'll show you some pictures. I heard to put it in. You can just,
I'd love to get that.
you want to show the video because, so what happened, I'm sitting in the office and I hear this. So right away I start the reporting. That's the fisheries, Spill BC and WCB because it's a rollover. But the truth of it is, when you do these accident investigations, you do a sugar coat and you give it a Walt Disney version, or you have more attention to yourself. So I'm busy writing, and I got to say, it was right to the bare minimum of any environmental concerns because the truck wasn't a crash. It was a roll-in. So everything stayed intact. So there wasn't any hydraulic lines or anything. And on site, we had divers. So we got it out in 6 hours from the time that it went in the water. That same shift, the crew was there until 8 o'clock, but it was out the same shift, and it makes a huge difference.
Wow.
But back to the operator, that's the more important thing is Tracy got out of the thing, but prior to that, there was two female fisheries working on the site, and they're looking and just thinking, oh, what a nice truck is, it's coming down the road. And the beach, and they just turned around and they turned back because they never even heard anything with the water. And then all they could see is bubbles and logs floating. And of course, they're just thinking, like, what can they do? Like, how do they even dive in? And they said it took about a minute for it to up. And he just swam to the shore like if he knew what he was doing. And they said, can we help you? No, everything's fine. And loggers do work under higher level stress, every day, and we do handle stress a little bit better. They even did some research on it once. But Tracy said the devil didn't want to meet him that day.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We say things like, I hope your wife gives you a hug. And he says, is that all I should get? But anyways, he made a joke of it. He tried to report to work the next day. We're saying, no, really? Just get home.
Yeah, that was post-traumatic stress syndrome. Loggers don't seem to get it. And I've had other loggers that I knew whose family and friends killed on the job.
Yeah.
And other than the shutdown, if they do, they go back to work. It's hard to do.
And it's even amazing to a seasoned logger, old school like me. I would have panicked if I was in that.
I bet. The 2-10-2 thing. If you go overboard in cold water, you got 2 minutes to get your breathing and your heart rate under control. Yeah. You got 10 minutes to find something to float on, and then even if you pass out from hypothermia, you got 2 more hours that you might be revivable.
And I gotta say too, and I know Tracy won't mind me saying this, but he was heavy set, and he went on a real serious diet in the last year. A year earlier, he would not have gotten out that window.
Really?
Just so lucky. Yeah, it was a real hot summer day, so he had the window open, like all these things. Everything just is locking equipment, so you have to make an effort to get the windows open. So everything came.
So future interviewees are John Pasnave and the Challenger trucks, and he's got some. Looking at the pictures on the wall, I've seen the one picture of one of your trucks or one of Larry's, I guess, with one of the monster logs on it,
Yeah.
and some of those others. And then we're interviewing Al Boyko, who I worked in the summer after school in a Throat Lake division with Al Boyko and that crew. So
Yeah, bridge crew.
yeah. Well, he was running a yarder in those days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Jack Pippett and Joe Haas and
Yeah,
Al Cardiff.
Oh, Joe Haas was out there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that and I think everybody has a sort of logging incident story, but mostly it's a great life.
Yeah, it's a nice, clean way of making a living.
Yeah, I like working outside better than I did. I worked in the plywoods at Christmas and that going to school, and when I got to work on Spro Division, I liked it better. I worked in a pulp mill for a while, and I wanted out of there as quick as I could get.
And it's interesting. My dad told me a story that I found interesting. He said that the miners were a way stronger union than the forest workers. And to me, it kind of set you back thinking, why would miners be any hard ass than loggers?
Yeah.
And he said that when you're in the mines, you're underground.
Yeah.
So nothing changes. The element doesn't change. They're in the same temperature and that mucky, misty air and the noise. And he says when they come out of that hole, they better have a clean bed and good food.
Yeah.
And as soon as he said that, compared to the logger out in the fresh air,
Loggers out the fresh air.
Sabbath.
Oh, you want to go home? I want to go down to the lake, Castle.
So when you think of a miner compared to a logger, to us, the logging is a way better industry to be in.
Yeah, I thought of it that way, but you're right. Yeah.
So what's the future hold? Where are we going from here? You're going to have someday you might have a new viewscape out your window here.
Well, my crew will be happy to know we're planning on longevity. So eventually, I'm semi-retired now. My son is operations manager, and that's Trevor Coates. And I'm here to help out, tell stories.
Yeah.
Do the fun
interviews.
stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, do the interviews.
Somebody has to do the work.
Somebody has to do the work.
I think I asked you this before. What's other than out in the bush, what's the best feature of the valley?
Well, I think just our natural resource, and just the stuff, if you bring anybody from Germany or even back east to come here, if you actually can get them out in the elements in some of our areas, you just can't beat us. Sand Falls or Virgin Falls, if it's out on the west coast, or Hot Springs out on the west coast, that very few people see. It's absolutely gorgeous. The nicest thing is our work takes us to all these locations. So we hold contracts all out on the west coast. We're doing some deactivation for Mook right now. We're down with First Nations out of Port Renfrew. And then we go up towards Cook Creek. We don't try to go to the north end of the island, but our contracts are all in this area, but surrounding area. And even Port Renfrew, a lot of people in Port Alberni haven't even been there.
It's beautiful. Quick political question. The highway foreclosures and Horn Lake or Cook Creek or other alternative ways out, or even south out of the valley here, you have experience on all of those roads. In fact, even one other. We asked you one time when we talked about a second crossing of Roger Creek within the city here.
Yes.
And, that could be built for much less than the 21 million that they quoted 20 years ago. Weiner Bridge.
Yeah.
When they were replacing Weiner Bridge, I happened to ask Bill, what's the span that would cost to replace here? They could do it for 100,000. I don't think it turned out to be 1.4 million or something when the government does it. But, okay, back to the roads. Alternate roads, how are they?
Well, I won't be popular in what I say.
Okay. We can edit it out. If you don't like it, we can take it out.
It's really like what everybody, including myself, would have the preference to go over Comox. Just straight through over the
north,
Horn Lake or
Horn Lake, whatever.
But the actual construction of it and the high elevation for the snow
would be difficult.
If you had to really pick between the two, the wiser choice is to be heading towards Victoria. It's a second route.
Yep.
Victoria has a better hospital. It's the capital of British Columbia. It accesses First Nations, and it's flatter road. The road is actually there. They don't have to pay anything for right away. So just the overall cost between elevation and the cost of the construction and purchasing the property, to me, it's
more logical or more of a word.
to go that way. And our airport, and our airport is Victoria. Like if you want to hit the real main city,
Yeah.
there's no argument that that it would be the better emergency route.
Except for the Malahat. How do you get out of that?
Well,
Or Renfrew in the west.
right back into Malahat.
Yeah. That's it. So the issue of the Malahat
But you're still doing the Malahat if you're going to Victoria.
I'm saying Cameron Lake or the Malahat, one of the two is going to stop you once a week.
And if it was just a choice, it would be Cobar.
And on top of, we're sitting here in Larry McKenzie. What was Larry's office?
Yes, we are.
Larry saved my life. I don't know the whole story. He single-handedly is the reason I'm still alive and breathing here today. Also, and I'll tell you that story off camera eventually.
Yeah,
this is here, not me.
Yeah. I'd like to hear it. Larry was absolutely an excellent.
Anyway, hey,
player.
thank you very much for the time. Thank you time in your busy time. Well, you're not as busy as you once were.
Not as busy as.
I'll be around with some raffle tickets later.
All right.
Well, there you go. Consequential conversations. Really enjoyed getting to know Bill quite a bit. I had really no idea. So that's what we do. Consequential conversations. So if you have any names that you want us to interview, Bob probably knows the person. I might know the person. But anyways, look us up. You can find us online, YouTube or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. There we go.